The breakfast rush had just begun at Maple Leaf Diner, that little corner cafe where people came not just for pancakes, but for peace. And that's where Emily Parker, a 26-year-old waitress with tired eyes and a heart full of empathy, spent every morning, juggling trays, refilling coffee cups, and trying to smile through her own struggles. But that morning something happened that would change not just her life, but save another's. A man in a tailored suit rushed in, carrying a boy, maybe 7 or 8, pale as paper, barely breathing. The man's voice cracked. Please, someone call 911, my son, he's not responding. Everyone froze. Emily didn't. She dropped her tray and ran forward, her instincts kicking in before her mind could even catch up. The boy's head fell limply against his father's chest. The man looked familiar. Maybe she'd seen him on the news. The name Richard Hale popped in her mind. A billionaire tech founder. But right now, he wasn't powerful. He was just a terrified father watching his little boy fade. Before we continue this powerful story, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Soulful Heart Story, where every story reminds us that kindness still matters. Minutes later, the paramedics arrived, followed by doctors from the urgent care across the street. They checked the boy's pulse, shined lights in his eyes, spoke in medical terms Emily couldn't follow. They said it looked like a seizure. They prepared to move him, but Emily, she couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. She had grown up taking care of her diabetic mother. She'd seen this look before. The shallow breathing, the twitching fingers, the pale lips. It wasn't just a seizure. Terwet, she said, her voice trembling. Check his blood sugar. The doctor frowned. Mom, we're professionals. Please step back. But Emily stood her ground. Please, just check. He's sweating, he's clammy. It could be hypoglycemia. There was silence. The billionaire looked between her and the doctor, desperate. Do it, he said. They hesitated, then took a glucose test. The number flashed on the monitor. Dangerously low. The boy wasn't having a seizure, he was in diabetic shock. Emily grabbed the orange juice from the diner counter, poured it into a straw cup, and carefully helped them get it into his mouth as the doctor prepared an IV. Within moments, color returned to the boy's face. His little hand twitched, then gripped his father's sleeve. Dade, he whispered weakly. Richard Hale broke down, right there on the diner floor, hugging his son and whispering, thank you, thank you. But when he looked up, Emily had already stepped back, wiping her eyes and trying to return to her other tables like nothing had happened. A few days later, a black car pulled up outside the diner. Emily thought it was a delivery, until she saw him. Richard Hale, the billionaire. He walked straight to her holding a small box. He said, you saved my son's life. The doctors said if we'd waited 5 more minutes he could have slipped into a coma. I owe you more than I can ever repay. Emily smiled awkwardly. I'm just glad he's okay. That's all that matters. He opened the box anyway. Inside was a check for $250,000. Emily's eyes widened, tears filling them. Richard continued, you saw what they didn't. You cared when others hesitated. People like you keep this world human. She didn't take it right away. But eventually she accepted. Not as a reward, but as a reminder that doing the right thing still matters. Weeks later, that check turned into a nursing school scholarship. Emily finally pursued the dream she'd buried under bills and broken hopes. And in an ironic twist, when she graduated years later, her first patient at the hospital was a smiling boy named Ethan Hale, the billionaire's son she once saved in minutes. He handed her a thank you card that simply read, you didn't just save my life, you showed my dad what kindness looks like. Narrator's closing reflection. Sometimes heroes don't wear scrubs, and miracles don't happen in hospitals. Sometimes they happen in small diners, through people who simply care enough to notice. Because in the end, it's not about money, status, or power. It's about heart. And that's something no degree or fortune can ever replace.